Hey guys, my name is James Masella from Movie Death Post. Thanks for taking the time to sit down with me today.
Well,
Thanks for
James, thank
having.
you.
No problem. So I gotta ask, Nathan, I have no frame of reference from what it's like to be live in Belfast and live over
Yeah.
there. I'm from the States. I live in Philadelphia. How real is blue lights how realistic is it to like actually living in Belfast and the cops and the community they police? Is it fairly accurate?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the storylines are fictional, but it's completely based in truth. Those things like the slightly more ugly things like the maybe the kneecapping scene in the first season, or the rioting scenes in the second series are all very truthful to what Belfast can sometimes be like. It can be I mean, it was a war-torn country for a few decades, and although that sort of ended, 97, it doesn't disappear overnight. And I think Blue Lights have done a really good job at sort of finding the balance between, showing the sort of not so pretty sides of Belfast while showing showing the great things about Belfast as well.
Sure. Catherine, Annie is a completely different character than we saw in season one. She's getting punched in the face, she's throwing up, she's getting just like stepped on by everybody. But season two, it feels like she's really found herself and she's much more confident in who she is. Is that something you were eager to portray?
Yeah, that's interesting you said that actually. She's a lot more comfortable with herself. She's a lot more seasoned, but it is a year on and that's why. But there's definitely she's still learning on the job. She's still trying to get to the grips of just this intense and very dangerous career. Um, but it's lovely to be able to showcase the different elements of Annie in season two and to show just different sides to her and the comfortable sides and also the sides that we haven't seen in season one.
I forgot to mention she also wasn't allowed to play soccer anymore, but I was gonna mess it up and say soccer instead of football, and I didn't want you guys to yell at me for that. So
It's all right. Don't worry about that.
Sean, I know you from shows like The Terror, Good Omens, House of the Dragon. What made you want to come on as Grace Ellis for Blue Lights?
Because it's really good writing. As soon as I read the script, I was just sort of drawn into this world, which I didn't, I had never worked in Belfast before. But because of their writing and how good they are, they made that world sort of accessible for me. And also these characters, I think, I love like any actor when you get to play a character that's really well written and has depth, all of those things, there's so much for you to sort of pick out and play with. um and so that was there. And also my dad worked in the force. He was a police officer, so I felt a sort of familiarity with that world, and also great to be able to show the human side of this job.
Definitely. Nathan, there's a scene with you and Catherine's character in episode one of season two where you guys are driving and you're just constantly talking about Johnny Cash and listening to Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Do you actually do that in real life? Do you know who Johnny Cash is? Like, you like country music from like over here or no?
Yeah, I mean, I know Johnny Cash a little bit. My granddad would have listened to a bit of Johnny Cash growing up, but I think actually after obviously in the first series, there's talk about Johnny Cash as well in the car between Jerry, Tommy's mentor, and Tommy, and I started listening to a little bit more of him after that, and yeah, I think I would call myself a Johnny Cash fan now for sure.
You've got good taste.
Yeah, yeah.
Catherine, what do you think? Is it growing on you, that kind of music, or you can't stand it either in real life?
I mean, I have to be honest, like I do like Johnny Cash, but particularly with that song, we had to sing the song whilst we were in and it didn't make the cut, which was really annoying
Yeah.
because I
That's,
thought it was amazing to
that
be
says something
fair.
about our singing voices anyway. Yeah, that was supposed to open the
I
scene.
thought it was class. But it didn't make it, so
Well, now I want to see that, but you
I
know,
think you
uh,
should reenact it now.
yeah.
Nathan, you were talking about Richard Dormer, who played Jerry in season one. And, obviously he's not here in season two because what happened with his character. But what was it like working with him, being his trainee for those episodes?
Oh, it was such a good experience, and what made it so much better as well was obviously I could draw a lot of similarities between real life and for Tommy's character in the show because I've this was my first big job out of drama school, so I was kind of new to working on a big TV set like this, and to a certain extent, Richard kind of took me under his wing a little bit, and kept me right and, steered me a little bit, which then, perfectly spilled over into the characters where he was, he was sort of mentoring me at the job. And I remember there was one day where we were doing something and the director of the first series came up and he was happy with how it went and he sort of said, "Oh, how did you know to do that or something or how did that?" And I just said, "Oh, I'm just copying Richard." And he was like, "Oh, that's perfect, that's perfect, that's perfect." So it worked out well, thankfully.
Last question before we wrap. I know you guys were in New York last night for a little screening out there. And Sean, I don't know if you know this, but House of the Dragon premiered Monday night in New York there. Any chance we see you pop up on a flashback or any other further seasons? We can't talk about that stuff.
No, I can't say yes or no. Anything above. My lips are totally sealed. If I say yes, I'll be in trouble. If I say no, I'll be in trouble. So yeah, leave the enigma there.
I had to ask, but thanks, guys. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me today. I can't wait for everybody to see Blue Lights when it premieres on BritBox next week. Thanks again.
Thanks so much, man. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks.